Eagles and Port Adelaide, a scoreline to three-quarter time, 57-78. We've spoken about it. We've said how important it is to get the double chance. Only Norwood, remember, have done it from 5th spot without the double chance, and from an elimination final, only Norwood have gone on to win a premiership in 1984, 12 years ago. So 78-57, such a critical game. The two heavyweights are going head-to-head. Martin Nailey and Ken Sheldon have the game from the start of the last quarter.
Start of the last quarter here at Woodville Oval. Port Adelaide with a quite comfortable 21-point lead in what has been a fantastic game up to this stage. Darren Mead has been moved to the ruck in the third quarter. Really has given a bit of mobility to this Port Adelaide side. We see a quick kick forward. Ziller out here. Takes it very tough, very hard. Good quick hands over the top. Pays. Gives it back to Ziller. Ziller on his left leg. Punches the ball forward. Looking for Morford. He's there with Delaney. Morford has been moved to full forward after half-time. Get to take a ball. Ziller. Again, back to Pesh. Pesh around his body. But only to find the safe arms of the Port Adelaide midfielder and David Brown.
David Brown has been magnificent. Transfers the ball by hand to Figget. 2 bounces. Can have another one if he likes. Yes. Left foot kick. Long in the direction of Malakellis. Good play by Dillon. Good use of the body. Mops up well in defence. Kicks it to the wing area where the players come from everywhere. With us in commentary, we have the umpire director with us, Shane Harris. Welcome, Shane.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, it's been a fantastic game so far today, and we're looking forward to a tight finish, hopefully.
This is Wiedemann. Quick kick forward. Mark could have been paid, it wasn't. This is Pesh onto his left leg. Looking forward for Colville. Colville's going to back into it. He doesn't. The safe hands of Simon Pedler. Makes a very safe mark. He gets it moving quickly. Out wide. Down to Borlase. Borlase comes inside of McGuinness, who really has, in the second half, really increased his work rate. Pushes the ball up forward for Hodges. In the back of the pack is Dillon. He should clean this up. He overruns it. Hodges is still there, desperate as ever. Dives on the football, keeps it in the area.
Spear clears with the football. And it goes out of bounds on the half-back flank. As in pursuit of that ball was Clint Shaw, number 28. Come off interchange. Port Adelaide lead this game by 21 points. After trailing by 3 points at quarter time, leading by 1 point at half time, it really did explode with 5 big goals in the third quarter.
Shane, just a quick question to you. The umpiring stand of today, I mean, as far as Ken and I have seen it, it's been fairly consistent.
Yes, it has. Both sides have been hard at the footy, and I believe the umpires have let them go for the footy, and that's been a feature of the game, I think.
It's McGuinness, quick kick again. He's had a couple of possessions early in this last quarter. Brown, fearless as ever, knocks the ball forward, but only as far as Christensen for the Eagles. Christensen over the top to Wiedemann. Wiedemann, the base, gives it across, gives it back. It's up for Shaw. Shaw gives it out in front of Sheldrick. Pedler and Sheldrick go hard at it, and once again the ball goes out over the boundary line.
Opening minutes of the fourth quarter here at Woodville Oval, where the home team trail by 21 points. They are in third position on the SNFL ladder and need to win to consolidate the double chance here today. Port Adelaide, if they are successful, will pinch third spot from them. Nigel Figget being brought into the game today at the expense of the suspended Brian Lees. Clears the ball from defence, but only as far as Shaw. Shaw with the left foot into the middle of McClure. James McClure's been good on centre wing. Goes for the goal square, dropping back. And picked up by, almost a great goal, but a great smother in defence. And it really has been magnificent, the work in close by both teams.
It has been, and that is just typical of the game today. It's been tight in close, and the tackling has been fierce, and the smothering has been a spectacle today.
And Gavin Colville, number 23, the little red-headed, well, he really is a live wire in that forward line. He's created something special again here today in front of his home crowd. Nick Pesh with the footy, back to McClure. James McClure on the left foot, pumps it in the direction of Colville again, but it goes over the back, and Pedler mops it up. Fiacci, a poor handball from Pedler. Oh, what a great snap by Morford. Not quite successful. Figget will clear the ball. Will he take a bounce? No, he brings it inboard to McGuinness as Mark Nayley mentioned very prominent early in this last quarter. Good handball to Daisy Borlays. Transfers play right across to the members' wing where David Brown takes a bounce, turns back inboard. Scott Hodges will lead. He will be the target. Out he comes, Hodges. Will he get it? Yes! What a magnificent mark, magnificent lead, magnificent pass.
Beautiful football by Brown. The Port runners, Wilson, Borlays, Brown and Francis have been a feature, and Hodges coming up for his 6th goal has been a feature of today's play.
He really has been perhaps the difference in this game. What a great passage of play from one end of the ground to the other. Transfer across midfield and a magnificent pass by Brown to Hodges. Good approach. The ball drifts to the left. And 1 point is the result. So Port Adelaide go to 12 goals 7. They lead the Eagles 8 goals 10. All the action on ABC Sports.
We've seen a couple of times today with Scotty Hodges just been punching at the football, not really kicking sort of through the football. He really has just been punching at it. Just saw the last one there. We see Spear coming from full back. Puts the ball high. Anderson's back there, put a bit of pressure on. The back is Francis. It's Shaw. Neither player can kick the ball in.
Just taking up your point on that, Hodges has 5 goals on the board, but he really has had the opportunity to perhaps have 8 or 9.
Yeah, no doubt there. He seems to be just kicking off one step rather than having a run at the football.
Neiman up against Paul. Ball's brought to ground. Plenty of desperation shown by both sides. It's up with Pesh. Delaney. The ever alive was come out from fullback. Now positioned to centre half back, picking up Sheldrick. Delaney goes high with his left leg. Kicks it back to Neiman. Neiman couldn't quite judge it. Quick flick over the top by Simpson. Quick hands in by Christensen. Wilson's there for the Port Adelaide side, and again you see the ball go out of bounds. Now it's your first season in South Australia, and the umpiring standards, we just said before, have been fairly consistent throughout this season. Just what sort of changes have you made as far as the umpiring coaching?
Yeah, Mark, I think I've brought a different attitude, a more professional attitude and a committed attitude, and the guys have performed like that on the field.
Perhaps a more physical attitude as the game has been allowed to go in tight today. Francis kicks a football. What a great leap by the tremendous leap. Rogers has played well. Started on centre wing, now on the back line. Good tackle by Port Adelaide. Great tackle by Port Adelaide. Further body pressure by Port Adelaide in their forward line. That's what you love to see as a coach. Good defensive pressure by your forwards. And a ball up will result.
Great desperation shown. Their players just throwing themselves at the bottom. You just saw Malakalis at the end there, the last player to get up. He just dived himself about 15-10 metres just to get his hands on the ball. Unfortunately, he had too many Eagles players around him. The ball's thrown up once again. Some strong work done by Paul on Neiman. Ball's kicked forward. Port looked dangerous again. Come up with, looked like Treadray. Just pushes the ball high. At the back is Fear, and he takes a very strong mark over Scotty Hodges.
Needs to be commented, what a good job he is doing also, Jason Spear. Like, he has had 5 goals kicked on him, but gee, he's been there every time, nearabouts, when the ball has come into Hodges. Mead with good strength. Him and Neiman having good duel in the ruck now. Dillon tied up by Malakalis. Rowan Smith, good flick back to Mead. Mead quickly into his forward line. Carter playing up forward again today. Picks the ball up. Warren Treadray. The Eagles will clear it through defence. That's good play. Good steady composure as Simpson comes out. Poor kick. Figured his opposite centre-half back will take the ball, bursting through the middle of the ground. Rowan Smith, the handball was intended for. It's a little far. As in pursuit is Marty Christensen. Rowan Smith goes to ground. And Delaney cleans up for the Port Adelaide team. Figured has run on well. He has. He's got all day. He laces it out in the direction of Borlays, who's drifted again into the forward line unattended. He's done it on a number of occasions here today. 30 metres out on a difficult angle. The wind will be to his advantage as it'll come over his right shoulder. And he would be a possibility of kicking this, although it would be right on his distance.
Borlays goes back, just pushes it in the air. The wind brought it back beautiful. That's a lovely kick from a lovely angle. Port Adelaide move on the 13 goals 7. They lead the Eagles 8 goals 10. And all the action brought to you on ABC Sport.
Once again, the runners of Port Adelaide, as they've had since half-time, they've taken over the game. Fegert two ball lays, a good shot from a tight angle. That's what Port Adelaide have done since half-time.
So back in the middle of the ground, Port Adelaide 13 goals, 7-85. They extend their lead over the Eagles, 8 goals, 10-58. We're back in the middle. Umpire Wild puts the ball down. Neiman up against the big fella in Mead. Neither player can get an advantage. In tight with Shaw, ends up with Anderson. Anderson's got time to bounce the ball. He's got assistance inside with Malakalis. Takes 2 bounces, looks for Hodges. Ball's put out in front of Scotty Hodges. He's up there, he's taken it, he hasn't. Ball's brought to ground. Still in their area. Eagles backmen are fighting hard to keep it alive. They're not. They're diving over top of the football. Port players couldn't quite get it out.
Umpire Troy Burton says, give it to me, I'll bounce that. 35 metres from the Port Adelaide goal. They've been good, Port Adelaide, since half-time in particular. But the game's been good all day. Ferocious at the footy. Both teams. A lot of players, high in the best players for both teams. And there's been some exciting goals kicked. McGuinness been wonderful after half-time, particularly. And a lot of this, Shane Harris.
Yes, there has been, Ken, and it's typical of these two sides. They're hard at the footy, hard at the man, and very tight in the clinches.
Poole, big smash with the footy. Dillon, who's tidied up. McGuinness with the footy. Can he get it to Carter? Knocked out by Hall. Big handball, and more in hope than anything. Poole again. Zilla flicks it up to Simpson. Out from Wiedemann, out to Dillon. Dillon, number 12 for the Eagles, clears the ball in the direction of Sheldrick. Can't quite take it on the half volley, and it goes out of bounds for another throw.
Just most people at home know how hard our footballers train, but just how hard do the umpires train these days? Have you increased their tempo? Because they're all, I mean, most of them really are aspiring to become AFL umpires.
Yes, you're right, mate. Not so much off the track.
What a great shot for goal by Malakalis, but it just doesn't quite get there. But a free kick has been given to the Port Adelaide spearhead, their hero, Scott Hodges.
The umpire was in good position at the time. He's paid holding the man, which has pulled Hodges off the ball. Otherwise, he would have contested the ball.
So Hodges will line up for his 6th goal.
And I believe the umpire would be copping a mouthful at the moment from the Eagles players, so he's penalised them 25 metres.
Port Adelaide, 14 goals, 7. Clear leaders now over the Eagles, 8 goals, 10.
So Scott Hodges there kicking his 87th goal for the year. The Devils number. Let's hope he can go on and get off that mark throughout the rest of the game. We'll go back to it shortly. But of course, Scott Hodges looms as being one of the big differences between Port Adelaide and their ability to go all the way once more.
Yeah, I think if Port can finish in the top 3, which by the way it looks, Steve, is going to happen. Scott Hodges is he's a class player in this competition.
Spear and Stephen Hall didn't look particularly pleased, did they?
No, a bit upset, but it's easy when you're not coaching or playing.
Exactly, but Craigie, looking through that list of players there, they're missing Lees and North East today, but it just doesn't seem to be making a difference to them because they've got so much experience out there. There are so many players out there with 5 and 6 premiership medals around their neck that it makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, and that's the key to it. Even if those 2 players are missing, and when you really look through the list, they're the most experienced side in the competition. And finishing the top 3, they're going to cause a fair bit of concern for the other 2 clubs.
Yes, they are. Central and Norwood would be watching very, very carefully. The scoreline at the moment, as I said, between the Eagles and Port Adelaide, 14-7 Port Adelaide. The Eagles are 8-10. They've got a good little break, and we'll go back to that game in just a moment. For now, though, we'll go to the newsroom and say good afternoon to you, Kelly Sloan. How are you going?
Hi, Stephen. Couldn't be better.
Good. Have you been out on the road today? It's been a beautiful winter's day, or have you been stuck in the office?
I've been stuck in the office for most of the day, but I did get a chance to get down to the port, so have my dose of sunshine.
OK, tell us what's been making news today.
An 18-year-old man has died after a high-speed police chase overnight. The pursuit began just after 2 o'clock this morning. Only several minutes later, the Highbury teenager slammed his car into the Port Adelaide lighthouse. Police have launched an internal investigation and a coronial inquiry will also be held. There are a few angry Victorians today after shoe manufacturer Clark's announced it will be closing shop in Melbourne and moving to Adelaide. 240 jobs will be lost in Victoria. Adelaide workers have been guaranteed their positions. Police and doctors fear for the safety of a 9-week-old baby snatched from a hospital in Sydney's west on Thursday. There have been several sightings of a woman fitting the description of the abductor. And before I go, Stephen, a victory for a vegetarian bus driver in the States. He lost his job after refusing to hand out hamburger coupons, objecting to the ads showing burgers oozing with sauce. America's Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has ruled that his civil rights were violated. So there's something to mull over next time you get stuck into a burger, Stephen.
No, it's been a while since I had a burger, but I guess with the picture, the mental picture of the sauce dripping down the hands and the goo, it's not a bit of a gruesome thought, isn't it?
That's right.
Wouldn't fit you, Kelly. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Look forward to catching up with you at 7 o'clock. Time to go back to the Port Adelaide and the Eagles game. Port Adelaide seem to have the edge at the moment, but the Eagles will know the importance of the game and that the double chance, as we've been saying all afternoon, is on the line because Port Adelaide want it. They're working hard at getting it. Let's go back to Woodville Oval and see what happens in the dying moments.
Back in the middle, Port Adelaide 14 goals, 7.91. They extend their lead. The Eagles are 8 goals, 10.58. Umpire Doddridge pushed the ball down again. It favours Mead. Mead thumps the ball forward, out wide. Anderson's going to be a foot race. Dylan coming up the half-back line. He picks it up cleanly. Kicks the ball up over the top edge, kicked it out, and the bounce on the full. That can't be afforded this time of the game. The Eagles, they just need a goal. Quick kick brought back in. Finds McGuinness. Wild kick forward. Looking up forward. That's Treadray in the front position. Beautifully cleaned up by Ziller. Ziller over the top to Dylan. What can Dylan do this time? He punches out looking for space. Really hasn't controlled his kick. Really hasn't found a body in his last 3 clearances from the back line. This is Francis, who started so brilliantly. As he got out over the boundary line, the umpire hasn't blown his whistle. Keep playing, fellas. Wait for the whistle to blow. Great mark taken by Poole. Just used his strength, used his bulk. Great effort.
Darryl Poole playing a centre-half forward. Powerhouse for the Port Adelaide team. Stephen Carter back to David Brown on his natural left foot. Should be a goal, should be a soda. But no, inaccuracy. It's played a big part in his career, David Brown. David Brown, he just misses far too many goals for my liking. 14 goals, 8.92. Port Adelaide lead the Eagles 8 goals, 10.58. All the action here on ABC Sport.
Spear kicks the ball out, finds Neiman at the back of the pack, pulls him there. We just saw take a fantastic grab from behind. Colville's in there. Would have to be high in the Eagles' best players. There's been some great individual efforts today and some great team efforts. Look at Brown, look at McGuinness, the midfielders for the Port side. They have been very busy. Look at Colville, look at Payes, and also Pesh.
Pesh, particularly early, was really red hot.
Umpire's paid the mark or paid the free kick there, Shane?
He's paid the mark. He believed that he had control of the football, so the mark stands.
Binky it is with the football for Port Adelaide. Played a reasonable game across half-back. Kicks the ball long in the direction of Hodges, but Dylan equal to the task. Couldn't take the mark, however. And the ball rolls over the line, 40 metres from the Port Adelaide goal. They lead by 34 points midway through this last quarter. Coming up with the football is Anderson, perhaps. Perhaps, yes, eventually. Treadray, one-handed, delicate and neat. Down to Francis, but Andrew Rogers intercepts.
Rogers, the last line of defence, looks forward. He's got Sheldrick, a little bit of movement. Decides to go that way. Wasn't a very well-executed kick, and young Shaw, who came on after half-time, has picked up quite a few possessions. Been one of their better players after half-time. Gets the ball moving quickly. Ball's put out in front of Ziller. Ziller and Fiarchi. A couple of tough nuggety players there. Ziller holds up Fiarchi. That's holding the ball in my book.
That's a good decision. No prior opportunity, Mark. Sorry about that. Ball pinned. It's a ball up. That's a good decision by the umpire.
Special comments here by umpire coach and director Shane Harris. Come over from Victoria this year and really has toughened up the umpiring unit. Quick hands inside. That was through Wiedemann. Gets the ball moving to McClure. McClure puts it up high. The back of the pack is Kluzak. He should run into an open goal. He does. He's kicked it across the face from 20 metres out. He doesn't. The Port crowd love that.
Matthew Kluzak registering the Eagles 11th behind, and as an individual has probably kicked 5 of those himself.
Ball back in by Delaney. As far as Fegan, this young little 20-year-old, he's got a big future ahead of him in Port power colours. He's strong, tough, very reliable defender. A great little battle there out in the wing. That was Pays up against Wilson. Wilson also, big future, 19-year-old. Jumps into the back of Marty Dillon, and Marty Dillon should come up with a free kick.
An illegal tackle, over the shoulders, in the back. We've got to protect the ball player.
So Marty Dillon it is with the football on half-back for the Eagles. His side is behind. Sam Philippou with the footy, but he's tackled brilliantly by David Brown. Call play on Fabian Francis, evasive to Rowan Smith. All the space in the world. Plenty of room ahead of him. Looks for Hodges. Great delivery out in front of him. Hodges will be equal to this. Yes. Thank you very much. Holds the ball up to his beloved crowd. And will line up for his 7th goal.
That was like a training boogie. You just see Rowan Smith, Fabian Francis coming through the middle there. And Smith just held it up, just waiting for Hodges to give his lead, and found him beautifully.
Greg Anderson leaving the ground for Darren Smith. Anderson struggled. Looked like he might be playing with injury. Hodges approached the goal. Is good. He salutes to the crowd. And that registers Port Adelaide's 15th goal. It's Hodges' 7th. And they lead 15 goals 8 to the Eagles, 8 goals 11. All the action on ABC Sport.
With me in the change room is one of the better players today is Philip McGuinness. Phil, 7 goals so far for Scotty Hodges. Great effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, fantastic. He's just such a hard-working full forward, and you know, 7 goals. Normally he would probably a normal full forward would kick 3 or 4, but his work rate's just fantastic and turns that into 7.
How about here? We showed the ball,
but it's just been a delivery.
A 39-point margin for the Port Adelaide unit. After half-time, they really have increased their work. The tempo of the game is lifted in this last quarter. We see Mead up against Neiman. Wiedemann takes it off the pack, pushes it forward. Zero and Fiarchi at each other again. More from the back of the pack. Hasn't had enough of the footy after half-time. He's still in there and receives a free kick. Good decision.
Yes, he was retarded, which stopped his progress, and he was unable to grab the football, so that's a free kick holding the man.
Scotty Morford, round about 40 metres out from goal, on a slight angle. Has kicked 100 goals in an SANFL season. Very reliable forward. Shouldn't have any troubles with the distance. Just whether the accuracy is good enough. Just pushes it out. Has it come back far enough? The umpire comes back to the centre of the goal square, puts up 2 fingers, brings up the Eagles' 9th goal. They move to 9 goals 11. Port Adelaide 15 goals 8. And all the action brought to you on ABC Sport.
Yeah, Eagles really pushed us right to the end of the game. It was a good, solid game, I thought, Nails. They really pushed us to the end. And we boys are pretty tired after, I reckon. There's George hanging on again, as usual. The boys really put in a good effort today, you know, and we're pretty stuffed, but it shows the effort.
The ball bounces in the centre of the Woodville Oval. It's 3rd playing 4th. 3rd spot on the SNFL ladder will be the result. McClure emerges with a footy, puts it in the direction of Kluzak. Pedler lets it over the back. Fiarchi, great defence. Kicks it, toe pokes it towards the safety of the boundary, and Wilson runs it over. He's played well after half-time. Wilson, number 15 for Port Adelaide there in screen. Port Adelaide 15 goals 8, 98. Lead the Eagles 9 goals 11, 65.
So inside, start of time on period. The Eagles forward line. I've seen another goal at Brown, one of the better players today. Gives it back to Wilson. Wilson kicks it long and strong. And as far as Rogers, also one of the better players of the Eagles today. Coming back inside. Eagles players taken by young Axon. Axon onto his left leg, pushes it wide for Kluzak. He uses his body this time. Should have taken the mark. Delaney's there. He just dives on the football. Gives it back to Fiarchi. Fiarchi only had one way to go, and it was going to be over the boundary line. He wasn't going to get fancy. So quickly, the umpire runs in, throws the ball in, doesn't give the ruckman time to get back. Smith will clear it. Got the running players out wide. He wants to use him in McGuinness. McGuinness goes on to Brown again. He's just covering so much ground this afternoon. Gives it to Smith, who's just come back on. Gives it wide out to Pierre. Francis takes one bounce. Drives it wide. Can only find the Eagles defender in Marty Dillon.
They misread that, the Port Adelaide side. Francis not capable of kicking the ball 90 metres. He's a great kick all the same. Smith with the ball into the centre towards Borlase. The handball not quite good enough. Pays is there. Borlase taps it to the advantage of Treadray. Rogers flicks it up to Axon. Neat through to... Oh, great play by Smith. Great play. Really intercepted that well. David Brown with the footy. Through to Treadray again. Back to McGuinness. McGuinness with a snap for goal. Will it carry? Hodges with his body. Oh, great play, Hodges. Great play, Hodges. Really used the strength. Really used his strength to advantage. But that sees Port Adelaide go back to a good lead now.
Yeah, it was great hands by young Treadray. He's looking coming on very well, and we'll be looking forward to a good impact from him during the finals. You know, we're just building up to the finals now, and I'm pretty happy to kick a couple of goals, but you know, the team things are what are important this end of the year, and I'm just trying to do the right thing as far as that goes.
Centre of the ground, Port Adelaide 104 points, the Eagles 65 points. Umpire Doddridge puts it down again. A tremendous bounce at that centre today. It has been hard, depending also the amount of rain we've had over the last couple of weeks. It really has surprised us all. Again, we see this Eagles defence being bombarded since half-time with goals coming at ease. And good work by Binky, who's been pretty solid in defence. This Magpies team today. Ball thrown in. Smith up against Neiman. Neiman takes front position. Smith from behind. Ball's given out to Shaw. As I said before, has been very good. Andrew Pays on to Zilla. Up to Filippo. Filippo's been very quiet this afternoon. Had a bit of ruck work when Neiman got injured in that second quarter. So Filippo puts it forward. Look for Kluzak, who's been moved to full forward. Pays gives it back to Kluzak as he kicked his first goal. I think he has. He's kicked 1 goal, 5 for the afternoon. The Eagles move to 10 goals, 11. Port Adelaide has 16 goals, 8. And all the action is brought to you on ABC Sport.
Yeah, as you can see, Nails, they pushed us right to the end, and you know, it's just such a credit to the backline there. They're a good team. They're the Fegets and the Wilsons, and you know, as Meaty, as you can see, they're dropping back into the last line of defence, but they pushed us all the way, and it was a really good game of footy, I thought.
Accuracy has been really costly, though, for his team. Port Adelaide 16 goals, 8, 104. Lead the Eagles 10 goals, 11, 71. Darren Mead limps off the ground, holding a left ankle. And on to the game comes Big Carruthers. Neiman smashes the ball out of the midfield, but Brian Binky, it is number 24 for Port Adelaide, puts the ball into his forward line to Darren Smith, who fumbles the football. Should have been able to take that. Buttering up is Brown. Taps the ball further to McGuinness. Melakalis. Strength by Spear, but he's tackled by Brown and a number of other Port Adelaide players, including McGuinness. And the ball up eventuates.
Port's midfield players, Brown and McGuinness's last quarter, really have set it up. We haven't cited Wayne Winterman in the last 15 minutes of football.
Well, you really got to question, I think, the fitness of the likes of Wiedemann, the likes of Pesh, who really were so instrumental early, but just have faded when it's there to be had. It's 33 points of difference. In the final quarter here, playing for third position, David Brown. In tight, he's been great. Warren Treadray, the Eagles. Melakalis it is who leads the race to the footy, but it's Pesh who brings it up into Spear. Spear has been shifted out to centre-half back now. Puts it into Axon. Axon and Pays fight over the footy. And it's all boxed up by the Port Adelaide defence. Brian Binky, 24 in screen there, along with Phil McGuinness. But Brian Binky has been pretty good across half-back. Poole smashes the footy. David Brown and Wiedemann fight. Wiedemann, left foot, big kick. Big kick to centre forward. Roger Delaney almost takes the mark. Colville in the front position. Backs out of the pack. Flicks it with the left hand to Michael Axon, number 41. Good composure. Axon to Kluzak. Great pass. And Matthew Kluzak will line up for his third goal. But gee, your confidence, your money wouldn't be on him with his accuracy displayed here today.
Yeah, good work again by Colville. He has been a very good find for this Eagles team this year. See, Kluzak goes back. He just allows it the breeze, puts it up lovely. He brings up his third goal for the afternoon. He's kicked 3 goals, 5. The Eagles move on to their 11th goal. They're 11-11, 77. The Port Adelaide side is 16 goals, 8, 104. And all the action is brought to you here on ABC Sport.
And Shane, with your new role...
Phil, you must be happy now that you really have consolidated that double chance come finals time.
Yeah, we've got a couple of games to go, and we need to win both of them, but that was definitely on our minds to get that double chance, or to have a win now and have the double chance in our grasp. But, you know, it was a credit to the boys how hard we worked. In the last couple of weeks, we've probably dropped a few from, you know, being 5 or 6 up.
The result will see the winner confirmed third spot on the SNFL ladder for the end of the home and away season. The Eagles have the bye next week. Port Adelaide have a higher percentage than the Eagles. Hodges. Oh, he's done well out there, Hodges. Look at that for defence.
He has worked hard, hasn't he? I've seen a couple of times today where he's done that. He gives over to Brown. Brown's just given forward up. He's found Carter. Carter should walk into an open goal. He does. From less than half a metre out. That's his second for the afternoon. That brings up Port Adelaide's 17th goal. There's 17 goals, 8, 110. The Eagles 11 goals, 11, 77, and all the action brought to you on ABC Sport.
Yeah, there again, the effort by Scotty Hodges making something out of nothing, and the boys really got there in numbers. And Stephen just dropping down as a ruck rover down to the last line of the goal mouth and kicking the goal. Great work by Brownie, great vision there, you know, such a good player. And there we go with Stephen. Wonderful.
Well, that was just a fantastic effort. As you see the final scores there, 11 goals, 11 to Eagles 77. They were defeated by Port Adelaide, 17 goals, 8, 110. And Stephen, Port Adelaide, they got that double chance.
All right, Nails, a question for you. You've been saying that Port Adelaide won't make the grand final. What do you reckon now?
Well, after today's effort, it really was a fantastic game. As I said, you know, right through every quarter, it was physical, it was tough, it had everything you wanted to expect out of a footy game. There was a good crowd here. I reckon we'd have to be in the vicinity of around about 8,000 people, but they were thoroughly entertained. Port were just too strong, just too powerful, and come finals time, just watch out, because I think Port could get on another roll.
You've changed your mind. The goal kickers, Scott Hodges got 7, McGuinness 3, Borlase 3. Kluzak, Mark, the only multiple scorer. They struggled for them.
Yeah, I mean, the difference of the day was Scotty Hodges with his 7 goals. He was just sensational. But I said it before, every time he takes that ball out in front, he's always 40 metres out and directly in front. And not too often he does miss them. But he had around about, I reckon, about 10 shots at goal. He kicked a couple out in the full. Mister had a couple of points also. But Matthew Kluzak with 3 goals, 5, that's just not enough. But Stephen, I'm looking forward to Port Adelaide come finals time.
What about Stephen Carter? He's been at halfback all year. Last week out here at Elizabeth, we saw him line up at half forward and play particularly well.
Well, they've got a bit of flexibility on their side at the moment. I mean, they've got Carter, who they can play at centre-half forward or centre-half back. They've got the big fella in Fegert, who was just outstanding today. Big Carruthers came on. Also, Mead, they interchanged with the ruck work. They've got a few, they've got a few big players that they can alternate between different positions throughout the day.
All right, thank you, Mark. Ken Sheldon is obviously there with you somewhere. Ken, how are you going?
Very good, thank you, Stephen. And one of the players that come back into the Port Adelaide side today after a month on the sidelines through a hip injury was Fabian Francis. Welcome to the show, Fabian. How did you enjoy today?
I enjoyed it real well. It was good to come back and get a kick again, I suppose, and a win for the boys, which is real well.
Now, you've played 24 games for Port Adelaide, including a premiership last year. What emphasis was put by your new coach, Stephen Williams, on the outcome of today's game?
Steve told us that if we wanted to be a part of a premiership again, and we had to win, the boys knew that. They went down last week, and obviously the boys knew that we had to bounce back and have a win.
You really did start well, Fabian. Playing on centre wing, you had a couple of opponents for the day. You were selected in the state team earlier in the season. You couldn't play because of a hip injury. How much fitness have you lost?
I've lost a bit of fitness. I've been training hard, even though that I haven't been able to run. I've been in the pool working hard. I haven't lost too much. Just the ball skill I lost a bit. That's why I favoured the left side a fair bit today. So I've just got to keep going along. I think that game under my belt's going to help me for the long run. So if we can keep on winning, it's going to do us the world of good.
And I can assure the viewers that your left side was terrific, particularly in the first quarter. You really did start well. I would think you would have had about 10 possessions in the first quarter, Fabian. Would have that been your best start for the game?
Yeah, that's been my best start for the year, I'd say. I've basically trying to be more consistent through the whole game. I seem to fade out in the last 5 minutes of the game, so I've just got to keep working on that, and hopefully it'll pay off in the long run.
Well, you've consolidated almost third position today. I wish you well. Is there anyone in the Northern Territory where this telecast is directed to as well that you'd like to say hello to before we close?
I'd like to say hello to my mother and father and all my family and all the support that I've been given through the whole year. Thank you.
Good on you, Fabian.
Well, good on you, Ken. Question for you. If you were coaching...
I'm sure his mother and father will come down and watch him participate in the Port Adelaide final series.
OK, Ken, I'm sure he will. Question for you. If you were coaching Port Adelaide, Norwood or Central District or maybe the Eagles, which side would be the best at the moment? Who'd be the winner in terms of October? No response.
I think I couldn't quite pick you up there, Stephen. I just can't quite hear that.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll leave you alone and we'll ask you a question very shortly with the Eagles scoreline reading pretty well for Port Adelaide. Some of the other scorelines about Adelaide today. Glenelg were playing Norwood at Football Park and it was tight throughout most of the day, but Norwood in the end got up by 6 goals and so Glenelg more competitive but still a loser.
Yeah, well, that'd be a bit more pleased with that Triggy in the end, but at the end of the day, it's a loss. Norwood continue on their roll, so they'll be happy with that as well.
Yes, in West Adelaide, big winners over Sturt. Central District, we saw even bigger winners over North Adelaide, a very disappointing North Adelaide. You went down to the rooms afterwards and Michael Flynn was fractured.
Yeah.
As you would be.
Yeah. Michael lost his sense of humour, which I can understand, so we've all been through that.
Well, it doesn't help if you go in there laughing at him after the game. He didn't need that.
It's not the end of the world, it just feels like it, so I've been through it all.
Exactly. Leading goal kickers in the SANFL, Scott Hodges has cemented his place at the top with 88 goals, just 12 from the magical ton. Ashley Reed's going to be an important player with 61, and we saw Conway today in outstanding form. He's now 1 short of his 50, Neil, and you'd have to say he's going to be a big player in the finals.
Yeah, the way he played today, Stephen, he's going to demand some respect from opposition clubs, so... You know, they're going to have to put some thinking in how to play him.
Now, Central District seemingly have stitched up that top spot, you would imagine. It's not all over with yet, but they're looking pretty safe. So they're on top, Norwood are in second spot, and Port Adelaide have leapfrogged again the Eagles, but look at that battle, 22 points apiece. And West Adelaide, I can tell you, for the first time in 19 years, are going to make the finals for successive years, so they've done pretty well.
Yeah, and Michael Taylor's first year to be able to do that. He'd be feeling pretty happy about that, so it's good final series coming up.
And Studer on the bottom of the ladder, but they've certainly been far more competitive. David Mackay, you're still with us down there. A question for you is that Port Adelaide, if they get there, maybe they'll be the ticket.
I think they're a very dangerous side, Port Adelaide. A lot of people wrote them off last year, and I had a bit of a smirk when I heard Mark Nailey write off Port Adelaide a few weeks ago, and I just smiled at the time because they always seem to come good around finals time, and I think it's still probably a 3- or 4-way tussle. I don't know that West Adelaide necessarily are out of it, but I think the top 4 are pretty cosy at the top.
They'll have to go one better than last year. They were rolled by North Adelaide in the elimination final last year were West Adelaide, so they've got plenty of work in front of them. The AFL scorelines in Melbourne and around the country. Last night, Geelong got up over North Melbourne in what many would consider to be quite a surprise, but they did it emphatically in the end, and quite impressively too.
Yeah, it was an excellent game. You know, anyone who watched that game would be very impressed with that sort of footy.
Well, you'd be impressed with a great man, wouldn't you? Godra up the front, he played beautifully. Carlton over Footscray, Essendon over Sydney, and something of a surprise, and Hawthorn over St Kilda. So Hawthorn still with a chance, and if Hawthorn can win next week over Melbourne and Richmond lose to North, I can tell you that the Hawks will take 8th spot. And the other thing, Neil, that's interesting, of course, is that with expected wins for Brisbane and the West Coast, the AFL might be faced with 3 games next week outside of Melbourne. So not next week, the week after. Yes, next week, I beg your pardon, in the first week of the finals.
Yeah, well, wouldn't that be a bit of a downer for the town of Melbourne? But still, it is a national competition. Maybe that's why it's been designed. At the end of the day, the Melbourne people are going to have to put up with that.
Yes, that's the week after, of course, in that first round of the finals. So, of course, lots of action coming up also on ABC Sport. We've got 2 rounds to go. The AFL has 1 round to go. We'll go down to David Mackay and just see who he's got sitting alongside him downstairs.
No, I've got no one, Triggy.
No one?
No, we had an interview earlier, but we were going to talk... We were going to talk about the Crows board, Triggy. You spoke to me about it earlier, and you suggested you mightn't want to play with this one, but you've got an inside oil that maybe 2, possibly 3 of the Crows board members won't be re-elected. Is that true?
I don't have an inside information at all, but they're the signals that are coming out of there, and we spoke with Ken Sheldon at half-time. I'll poke it now at Craigie. The point is that are you putting the cart before the horse? If you elect a coach and then you have 2 or 3 change in terms of the board, is it the wrong way around?
Well, to me it would seem the wrong way around, Stephen, because, I mean, those 3 people, 4 people coming in, or whoever it may not necessarily be supporters of the new coach. And I guess the other point Ken made is, what if they don't get Malcolm Blight? The next person coming in is now recognised as second best. So, interesting the way they've gone about their business.
Well, it's not necessarily in the bag yet. Nails, what happens if they don't get him?
Well, I'm not quite sure who they're going to replace him. I mean, we looked at some names there at half-time. We saw Noonan's name mentioned. We saw Barnes' name mentioned there also. Possibly the bloke sitting alongside of you. I mean, he also might be under consideration as well, and also the person standing alongside of me. A couple of former coaches with... No, don't
They're both
laugh.
shaking their heads, though.
Well, don't laugh, but they have had a bit of experience, and also they have had the results on the board as well.
Hey, what about you, Nails? What about coaching South Adelaide? They tell me there might have been a question during the week.
Oh, you can't be serious about that. I mean, there's been no approaches made as yet, but I'll wait for the phone call.
Would you like to have one?
No, I think a couple of years ago I would have. I mean, I had that sort of gut feeling. I had that passion about the game. But being out of it for so long, I've been out of it now for 3 years. I coached at amateur level for 1 year and didn't enjoy it at all. But
that's 'cause you
I think
lost.
it takes a little bit more these days as far as coaching. You need to be 100% committed, and I just can't find that time at the moment.
David Mackay, you've got a question?
I've got a question to Mark Nayley, and it goes well beyond his coaching at Brighton, where he was a failure. I don't really think South Adelaide consider him a serious contender. But, Nails, I hear during the week, my spies tell me that the Crows board are trying to gag your article in the Sunday Mail. Now, I haven't had time, you're at the other ground, I haven't had time to ask you, but is that true? Is there any censorship on the Mark Nayley column coming at you from the Crows?
Well, there's a couple of names that went through security on Tuesday, and every time you walk into the advertiser building, you've got to sign this piece of, or this book that indicates you come through, and one was B. Hammond, and also one was B. Sanders. Now, they may have had a bit of a talk to my editor. I haven't had any verification whether what the discussion was about, but who knows? I mean, I might be writing for the Russia Times next year. Who knows?
Well, Nails, what's that all about? What's the problem? Too much criticism, not enough positive stuff? How do you view it?
I reckon they're a little bit paranoid. I mean, if they're going to believe half the stuff that I write in the paper on the weekend, I mean, they're just a little bit childish, possibly. But if they're going to contact anybody, contact Mark Nayley. Don't contact my editor.
David?
Well, I've got a comment that I'd like to make. If they're in Melbourne, you get the good with the bad. You get some praises, you get some criticism. One of the things that worries me, if that's true, and I'm not saying that it is, but if it's true, Mark, it's a state of mind that the Crows cannot afford to be sitting in. They've got to cop it sweet when they cop it, and their performance this year, they're deserving of some criticism. Ken Sheldon, in your time in Melbourne, I've got to ask you, you copped some criticism as the St Kilda coach. Did you ever try and gag the media?
Well, you can't. All you can do is protrude an image. Everybody is suspect and open to criticism. It's how you react to that. So the Crows certainly need to protrude an image, and I think they're looking for Malcolm Blight to basically maybe the easy way out, but certainly I think he's the best coach for the job available at the time. But when Shaw took over, it was hard, fierce, accountable football, Victorian style, to win away from Melbourne. Wasn't successful. 2 years wasted, as a lot of people are saying. Now Blight comes in. Premiership is, I guess, the expectation. I think a lot of things have got to be done before they actually appoint the coach.
You're dead right. There's a lot of expectation. I'll ask Craig, and we'll take it to a different level, that the expectation at the Bay is always pretty high as well. And Tony Simons has been on the hot seat himself. There's so much turbulence at the Bay over the previous few years that he'd be feeling the heat at the moment as well.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that, Stephen. But at the end of the day, I mean, any footy club has got to back itself in to make a right decision. That gets back to football knowledge, of course, which is, you can talk about ours, about who's got it and who hasn't got football knowledge.
Look, I think, David Mackay, the critical thing is that if you are competitive and you can demonstrate that the players are playing for you and you're making some improvement in this very impression-forming time of the year, that really you've got a better chance, haven't you, of maintaining your spot as a coach?
Well, Tricky, you've been there, and I know Neil Craig's been there. Craigie went of his own volition, of course. You were sacked. You've been on that end of it. I think there's two coaches we're probably going to be looking at. One is at South Adelaide, where Butler, I think, may not get another term. I think they'll look for a profile coach down there, maybe in the mould of a John Schnee-Bickler or somebody who can resurrect them and lead them out of their oblivion. And down at Glenelg, I'd suggest you Tony Simons knows his time's up. They'd look to Chris McDermott, I would imagine, if he's available.
Would he want it, David? Would he want it?
I was going to say, if he doesn't take an AFL assistant coaching job, or perhaps Wayne Stringer is sitting in the wings down there, he'd be an ideal choice. They've got a few good candidates down there.
David, just quickly, would it not be a better route for Chris McDermott to be coaching at senior level in the AFL, were he to take an assistant coaching role? It seems to be the career path at the moment.
I think you did right there. And one bloke I'd throw it at is Ken Sheldon. Ken, I suppose that the fact that you're sitting here, you've got a good friendship with Malcolm Blight. Would the assistant coaching job at the Crows be something you'd look at?
Would you, Ken? Would you?
Look, I've really got no idea what you asked me, David, but if you're talking in the career path for Chris McDermott, I think he's definitely better off being in the AFL than the SANFL.
Okay, thank you, boys. We're just about out of time. And we'll say many thanks to Neil Craig and the other lads. The McGarry Medal, just a reminder to you, 17th of September at 8:30, live on ABC TV, and we're really looking forward to it. Many favourites, I should say, and it should be a great